Hi, you guys. So right now you are watching your video, for your reading activity. So notice it says weekly reading week number 1. You guys will have this once a week for an at-home assignment for language arts. Sometimes it'll be a fiction reading, sometimes it'll be a fable story, or it might be just an article. Either way, you're going to complete the front and back. Because it's the first one, you're just going to listen and copy down what I do. And then next week, you'll have one to do on your own, and you can come back to this video if you need to see an example again of how to do it. You'll be answering questions about the article, and it's all related to comprehension. So you guys are practicing your comprehension skills every week on this day at your at home, okay? So before you start, always go and to the left. So make sure you're on the page that says weekly reading week 1. This is the front. This is what the back looks like. We'll do that last. Before you read, we're going to make predictions. Making predictions is a part of your comprehension in 5th grade. It's good to make predictions of what the reading will be about. How do we make a prediction? You can look at the picture and you can read the title. The picture is a picture of a great white shark. The title says, "Oh my, a shark." Okay, so what do you think it's going to be about? And you're going to write it down. I think it's going to be about a person who sees a big shark. That's my prediction, okay? All right, now that you've made your prediction, now we're going to read and answer the questions. It was a typical day at the beach near our house. We have been visiting this beach since I was a young girl. We leaped out of the car and dropped our things to run into the water. None of us were paying much attention, and to be honest, the water was extremely cloudy. It had rained all week. To our dismay, we heard a woman yell at the top of her lungs, "Shark! Shark! Shark!" Everyone was shocked. I panicked and started running as fast as I could in water. I felt like I was running in slow motion. We all got to the shore safely. The lifeguards were blowing the whistle and telling everyone to evacuate the water while they checked everything. We decided to start packing up our stuff. We did not feel safe being at the beach that day. A few minutes passed, and the lifeguards came on the announcements to tell us all it was a school of dolphins swimming through. They said the water was clear and safe. Everyone cheered and started entering the water again. I still felt nervous and could not get the nerve to get back in the water that day. I really had it in my head that it was a shark in the water. Oh my. Okay, let's talk about genre. What is a genre of the story? Our two main genres are fiction or nonfiction. Remember that fiction stories are stories that are made up, created. Nonfiction means that it is true, something real that happened in life. There's a little gray area between that where we can say historical fiction. Historical fiction is a fictional story that is based off of real things that happened in life. So, this is a story, and these events could have happened in life, but it is a story of someone talking about a day at the beach. So we're going to go ahead and call it fiction. How do we know it's fiction? We see dialogue, and we hear a character's thoughts. It's a story, okay? Okay. What connection can you make with the story? So another part of comprehension is making a connection. You can make a connection to the actual story. You can make a connection to yourself if you've been in this situation before. You can make a connection of another story that sounds like this one. Or you can make a connection to the world. Does this happen out in the world? I think that all of you might be able to connect at least one way, and I need you to fill out at least one way you can relate this story to something else. So what I want you to do is write down which one you're going to do. I'm going to write it down as self. How am I connecting this story to myself? I too have been scared to go in the ocean because of sharks. So I just connected it to myself by stating how I can relate to the story. If you want to relate it to another text, you might say something like, I've read a story called da 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 da, and someone else had been scuba diving and saw a shark, or whatever it is. You can relate it to another story that you've read before. Or you can connect it to the world beyond yourself. I could have said, world, this relates to the world because there are sharks all over the world and many people have experienced encountering sharks before. So maybe you've never experienced it, but you know someone else that has. That is how we make connections. So please be sure you write this down. Okay, now we're going to answer these questions. What does the word evacuate in paragraph number 3 mean? So whenever they ask you this word should be bolded, and it's bolded right here to help you find it. We need to write in a complete sentence what it means. What if you're still not sure? You may go look it up on dictionary.com on your computer. That's fine. But please make sure that your definition matches the way that it was used in the story. The lifeguards were blowing the whistle and telling everyone to evacuate the water while they checked everything. So in this particular story, the way they're using evacuate, what's the definition on how it's used? To get out of the area. So evacuate means to get out, to leave. They wanted them to leave the water. Number 2, what's the main idea of the story? So if I could summarize the story in one sentence, what would I say? The main idea is, and remember we're writing in complete sentences right here, you need to start with the main idea is that let's see, and who's the character? I don't think it says if it's a girl or a boy, so I'll just say the main idea is that the swimmer was nervous to be in the water because of sharks. So even though there wasn't actually a shark there, because that's what they had found out, they ended up finding out it was dolphins. The main idea, though, is even though there wasn't sharks at that moment, in the end, she was still scared to get in there because there could still be a shark, and she was nervous. Why do you think the author wrote this short story? I think that the author wrote this story. I think the author's purpose was to tell and I ran out of room, so I'm going to go down here, a story that we could relate to. I think that the author chose this particular story because many of us have experienced this before. Okay, now we're on to the back. Prediction. Was your prediction correct that you made at the beginning? What helped you make it? So what was my original prediction? A person who sees a big shark. So was my prediction correct? I'm going to say it was not correct. And it wasn't correct, remember, because it ended up being dolphins. But what helped me make it? I read the title and saw a shark in the photo. Okay, now we're going to summarize the story. How do we summarize a story? You're going to write one sentence, summarize the beginning, the middle, and the end. So this requires us to go back. What happened in the beginning? So I would look at the first paragraph. It talks about how they were going to the beach. They ran into the water and they were very excited to go swimming. So, a group of people were excited to go swimming at the beach. So notice that I didn't make up anything on my own. I took this information directly from the first paragraph and summarized it in one sentence. Make sure you have a capital, a punctuation, and it's a complete sentence. How can I summarize the middle? Well, in the middle, they heard someone yelling and they got scared and ran out of the water. They thought there was a shark and everyone evacuated the water. And then what happened to the end? How can I summarize the very end? It ended up being dolphins, but they were still scared to go swimming. It ended up being, being dolphins, comma, but they were still nervous to get in the water. So notice that I just summarized the beginning, middle, and end. Only one sentence per box, and I summarized it in my own words. But the information came from the story, and that's what I want you to do. Okay, here's my favorite part of the entire weekly reading. And again, you guys will have one of these once a week. Write about a time you encountered something that frightened you from continuing to do it. So in the story, the person was scared to go swimming because she thought there was a shark. Have you ever been scared of something and you didn't want to do it anymore? Here's my example. This needs to be in a complete sentence. You need to have at least a paragraph. A paragraph is equal to 3 complete sentences. So that's how you'll get full credit for these. Okay, so please make sure you do that. Okay, so I'm going to write in first person. I once was stung by a bee while I was on a trampoline. So I'm not making this up, and I want you guys to think of a time that you can relate to. So because I was stung by a bee on the trampoline, I was nervous to get back on because I did not want that to happen again. The bee stung my hand when I was jumping on the trampoline, and so I didn't go back on the trampoline for a long time. It took a month for me to get back on the trampoline without being afraid. So there's my example. Notice I have complete sentences and I have 3 complete sentences. If you want to write more than 3, you're more than welcome to. All right, you guys. So most of this you're copying down. The other parts, like where you connect to the text and you write your own story related to it, that's all going to be your own work. But this is exactly how we fill these out every week. You can come back to this video on my YouTube channel anytime you want to see an example, as you guys will have a new one that you'll do on your own next week. Okay, you guys, thank you. I will talk to you later.